presenting Mandy McGuire on Swedish culture.
Hi, I'm Amanda McGuire and I'm going to talk to you today about Swedish culture. Swedish culture has always had my interest since we had a Swedish exchange student my sophomore year in high school. Their education, language, and gender roles are particular areas of interest. I'm going to start with education in Sweden. The Swedish Institute published a webpage regarding education in Sweden updated in June of this year and said, quote, 9 years of schooling are mandatory in Sweden, but most students also complete upper secondary school. They start out with preschool, which is for ages 1 through 5. The amount of subsidy that each family receives depends on the child's age and the family's work status. So some of the parents may be unemployed, or they may have a situation where one of the parents is staying home with the children, so they take that into account when they're figuring out the subsidy. All the children are guaranteed a place in the 1-year preschool once they turn 6 years old. It's basically the year before they go into school. And it's used for stimulating development and learning, but it's not required, but most of the students do attend. Then they have compulsory school. There's 3 stages of compulsory school, and then all of the students between 6 and 13 are offered out-of-school care before and after school hours. The 3 stages of compulsory school are divided into years 1 through 3, 4 through 6, and then 7 through 9. Gymnasium, as it's called, or years 10 through 12 are optional, where our students here go to school through year 12. There, 10 through 12 are optional. There's 18 programs in the gymnasium to choose from. 6 are preparatory for higher education, and 12 are vocational. Our exchange student had completed her gymnasium, but then she graduated from high school while she was here living with us. Now I'm going to talk to you about languages in Sweden. There's over 200 languages in Sweden, but there's only 5 that are considered official minority languages. Obviously, Swedish would be a majority language for them. The Local in Sweden posted an article on the 5 official minority languages in August of 2014. One, of course, not being English, even though it is widely spoken there. To qualify as a minority language, it has to be classified as a language, not a dialect, and must have been spoken for at least 3 generations in Sweden. English is spoken quite commonly there. The first minority language is Finnish. It's not in the same family as Swedish, and it's spoken by between 500,000 to 1 million Swedish residents. The second one is the Torn Valley Finnish, which is closely related to Finnish, and is spoken by about 50,000 people up north and 5,000 in Stockholm. Sami can be traced back about 2,000 years, spoken by approximately 20 to 35,000 Samis. Yiddish is spoken by the 20 to 25,000 Jews that live in Sweden. Romani, spoken in Swedish since the 16th century, currently 50 to 100,000 Roma living in Sweden speak this language. The Swedish residents do speak English. The Local did an article in November of 2013 titled, Swedes, Best in the World at English Again. They learn English in school as a second language. Language test quizzed 750,000 people from 60 countries around the world, and Sweden ranked first in English. Second year they ranked first. Sign Icing said in the Local article that they, quote, learn early in school, their TV and radio shows are in English, even commercials, but even outside of school, English is considered to be the high status language. Kids think it's cool. The important thing is that they do learn proper English. And a good example of this is when we had our Swedish exchange student. One little boy at school, when we were in high school, one little boy went up to him and told her how terrific she was. Well, she cried because to her, the word terrific means of terror, from terror. And of course, we think of it as meaning terrific's a good thing, but to her, she took it literally and thought he was saying something bad about her. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about gender roles in Sweden because they're quite different from those here in America. There was an article on Sweden at everyculture.com that documented these gender roles. First of all, women in the labor force in Sweden is the highest worldwide due to job opportunities in the public and the private sector as well as public child care. 43% of their parliamentarians are women and 50% of the cabinet members are women. In 1995, men were given 1 month of parental leave when they had a baby, and couples are given 15 months of paid leave to divide amongst themselves. They can choose who stays home which period of time, but it's actually paid leave for 15 months. And if the man chooses not take his time, then they just lose that month's pay. Because he does have to take at least 1 month. In 1999, Sweden was the first nation to criminalize the buyer of sexual services, not the seller. So they would prosecute the exploiter, not the exploited, which I thought was very different from the way we look at things here in America. So as you can see, the Swedish culture is different from that of America in several ways. There's differences in their education system, the languages that they speak are unique, as well as they are here, and the gender roles are quite different as well. They're quite an intriguing group of people. Thank you.
Yay.